Hello, everyone. Welcome to What is New in the World of Blockchain. My name is David Orban, and I'm Managing Advisor of Beyond Enterprises. We love meeting blockchain projects that aim to change the world using this amazing technology. We are just at the beginning. Even though Bitcoin is now more than 10 years old, and even though its exchange rate with the US dollar is such that a lot of people feel they are late in the game, if you compare the progress that we have achieved during these past years with the progress that the internet achieved during its stages of development, you will realize that 90% or more is still ahead of us. It is definitely ahead of us in terms of discovering uh, what are the varied and interesting and valuable applications of blockchain technology in many different economic areas. And that is what we are going to do today with our guest, Mate Farkas of Rentible. Mate, welcome to What is New in the World of Blockchain.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me.
So, I like to start asking my guests where they are in the world. Where are you connecting from?
So I'm connecting from Budapest, Hungary, and it's not pretty late, but let's say it's dark outside.
Yeah, it is winter, and probably there is no snow yet in Budapest, but it is a beautiful city, and I know because I've been born there, and I love to go back. And I recommend everyone who can to really check it out. It is a beautiful city. Uh, Another question that I like to always ask is, how did you get into blockchain? What was it that originally prompted you to check it out?
So I think first I heard about Bitcoin like in 2012, 13, and I said, such a scam. Like I was pretty sure it's a scam, very, very sure. And then I was very busy with other startups. I've been working in other niches. So I didn't really, think about Bitcoin until 2016. And then I joined to a blockchain advisory company in 2017. So I started to work with smart contracts with the Ethereum chain from the beginning. Let's say that's my home soil. That's where I feel the most comfortable. So this is how I can say like I've been in the middle of this very interesting revolution in the past 4 years now, 4 or 5, and yeah, what you just said, we are pretty early. When first we were thinking about this concept, which we realized now, or which we started now with Rentible. We will talk about this later. At the time, there were no good stable coins. It was like completely far-fetched. We felt like we are thinking about science fiction, and then 3 4 years later we are here, and yeah, sometimes we feel that we are late to the game, but actually we are early to the game. That's the reality.
And absolutely, I have been active in the world of Bitcoin and blockchain for many years, and it is fantastic to see the waves of enthusiasm building, and further groups of people joining, changing their minds, like it happened to you. I would assume that today you don't believe that Bitcoin is a scam, right?
No, I don't. And what is even more important, that 2 3 years ago we've been organizing meetups. I talked at many conferences. I was on radio shows, and I felt like most people are listening to me, and I think that okay, this guy is talking about something very interesting, but it's none of the real world's business. Really, like they felt it's not going to happen. This guy is idealistic. This guy is talking about autonomous smart contracts. No, it's not. It's nothing we can deal with. And 3 years later, the same guys are joining the companies we started to build at the time. They are becoming early adopters, or they are starting to trade altcoins which they didn't like at the time. So it's it's the people's mind is also changing a lot.
Absolutely. So, tell me about your project, Rentible. We are seeing here the homepage of your website, rentable.io. How did you get to the idea behind it? What is the value that it represents?
So in most people's life, I'm sure there is a story about a mean landlord, or about a bad flatmate, or about just a very insecure feeling at one point of the rental experience. So Rentable is, let's say, a first mover to this mid to long term property rental niche. This is like a massive industry, like a multi-trillion dollar industry, and we are just you know we say that there are many issues in this niche which blockchain can solve, which smart contracts can solve. We already have a beta platform. In the beta platform, we have a smart contract where tenants can send deposits to their landlords. This acts like an escrow. So they are not releasing the funds until the tenant moved in, and in case there are any issues, they can just go to arbitration, and we can decide whose fault was the original.
So, so before we get into the details of the platform and the advantages that blockchain represents there, um, you mentioned that you had previous startup experience already when you started Rentable. Did you start it together with a team that was already uh, made up of people that you worked with before, or it is a new team that gelled around the idea?
Now the development team is very, like, we have a 4 or 5 years relationship together. We did projects out of the blockchain before. Then they joined to us when we were advisors and consultants for other blockchain ventures. And also the management team. We are like, we've been working together for years. So usually, I think that startups are struggling with finding the right key executives, but in our case, the CEO, the COO, and the CTO were like, we can read each other's minds, so that was very easy for us.
Uh, and how did you select this specific niche, trillions of dollars aside? The challenges that it represents come from some specific experiences that you have had, or part of the team has a specialty that they are applying to this new project now?
Yeah, so the CEO is very has a lot of experience with the property technologies, proptech, and also he has been running real estate listing sites. He knows the niche very well. So I think this is the, let's say, the professional, not the background, but you see like the, this is what makes us a base to do this thing. And on the other hand, we saw that the challenges here are very much fits to the technology we know very well, which is blockchain and smart contracts. So, for example,
Let's
myself.
start with the challenges. Um, you mentioned one, for example, that the um, owner wants to make sure that the renter is able to pay, and the renter, on the other hand, wants to make sure that they can take possession of the property as they enter, that is available, that the various specifications correspond to what has been originally described. And so you mentioned that the blockchain-based escrow mechanism is what you found to appropriately address this challenge. What else would you list that comes up in the traditional ways of addressing a rent type of agreement, and which is insufficiently addressed by traditional approaches?
Okay. Also, we are targeting like younger adults, expats, people who can be early adopters for the platform. And in this niche, it's very common that flatmates are living together. But then, usually legally on a contract level, the contract is very weak. They don't protect like the tenant's interest. It's only like the landlord wants to make sure that no one is demolishing their property, and that's it. And then let's say I am moving out 2 months earlier from a fixed rental period, and you as a landlord does me and my flatmate that, okay guys, so I am not giving back the deposit to you. Now it's like a huge conflict between three parties. And you can do this also with a good contract, but most of the people just don't think about it. Also, usually they are just rushing into a deal and not thinking about the consequences. So what happens if someone moves out from the agreement? What happens if I am breaking the television? And who is going to pay for this? And this is all about multi-sig contracts and smart contracts, and it's beautiful.
As well as the ability to adjudicate uh, in a manner where the arbitrator's reputation is on the line in order to make the right decision, at least statistically, over the course of many many conflicts that the process must properly address. Um, so it is obviously um, easy, quotation marks, to find property to list on one hand, and renters who want to rent those properties. And I mean quotation marks easy because, of course, it needs a lot of marketing. It also needs convincing because I don't know how effectively you can hide the fact that there is blockchain and smart contracts involved, but the likelihood that you will find a property owner that is already up to speed about all of this is very low. So your marketing either is such that they know nothing about it, just like a normal web application doesn't explain SSL encrypted transactions to someone who needs to buy something online. They just show the lock, and they tell, if you see the lock, you can trust the website. Well, similarly, you don't want to have to tell everyone about smart contracts and blockchain before you can list their property. So whether that is easy or hard, it is a given. Without that, you cannot start. But then my question is about the arbitrators. How do you find them? How do you train them? And how do you incentivize them?
So in this case, first of all, we already have a very active community in the Telegram, and it's, let's say, the community is is something, people want to contribute, people want to do things. So I think it's an easier thing. The bigger challenge is that every legislations have their own tenant rights, landlord, you know.
Let me stop you there because you were not explicit. So the rentable community itself is the source of the arbitrators.
Yeah, this is the goal. Yeah.
Okay, and you are about to release the platform, so you will verify that further. But your expectation is that you will be able to find qualified people who will be ready to serve as arbitrators for conflict resolution on the platform. Uh,
I would say, sorry to interrupt, that we will do this from next year. But now, when we launch our beta in Latin America, we are keeping the arbitration with us, and we are going to be like in this case until we can develop this. Like it's all about the numbers. Like
of
10
course,
arbitrators can hijack the arbitration, 500 couldn't. So
yeah.
for now, we are acting like a centralized party based on legal instructions.
Perfect. And yes, that is a very natural progression. And for every Web3 platform, the challenge of understanding what part to keep centralized, what part can immediately be decentralized, and how to move from one to the next phase of progressive decentralization is a natural challenge, not only technological but also in terms of managing the community, evolving governance, and in many other ways. A beautiful challenge that every platform is addressing the best way they can, and of course learning from each other as well.
Plus, let me add something else. That most of the time, arbitration is pretty easy because we are talking about like let and run scams. When a student from Tokyo wants to relocate to Barcelona, he sends the money to the landlord, who is not a landlord, just someone pretending, on Western Union, and then that's it. Like he couldn't move into anywhere. So in this case, with our platform, like let's say 90-95% of the arbitration is a very clear situation. They can prove who in the situation.
And I think that is an excellent point because similarly to the various instances of these philosophical conundrums, the trolley problem for a self-driving car, all kinds of complex situations, in reality will be a vanishingly small fraction of the real world examples. So an inordinate amount of time, at least among those who don't realize how the real world works, is wasted talking about really almost nothing. And those who know how the world works realize that the challenge as well as the value added by the disruptive novel solution consists in taking care of the vast majority of the cases that are easy under the new technology and was almost impossible to address under the old approach. Now, you mentioned the other part of the physical world, the analog world, which is when something escalates to a point where lawyers or courts get involved, and that is the challenge of actually not only tenants and property owners, but also the legal world to understand and accept uh, smart contracts and the arbitration based on smart contracts and so on. And as you said, the legislation is not evolving at the same rate everywhere. So how did you approach this? How are you approaching it currently?
So we have our smart contract. It's pretty it's the same everywhere, but then we have customized contract templates to each legislations. So if you are signing an agreement in the Netherlands, you sign an agreement which is, like, let's say, legally binding in the Netherlands. So it's like one layer with a DocuSign agreement and the second layer with a smart contract. And the smart contract is doing like the functionality, and the agreement is like a specification of, let's say, the arbitration cases. And when you do this, it also helps to, hide those boundaries between the real world and the smart contracts, and even those can understand who couldn't read the contract and who is not going to ether scan to check the features and functions of such a contract.
Um, I think this is a very powerful concept that human readable and machine readable agreements can be different layers of the same underlying intended outcome of what everyone actually wants. And the best example that I typically use to illustrate this is Creative Commons. The reason why I think it's a good example is because it deals with things that more or less everyone intuitively understands, and it is already more than 10 years old as an approach, and it is integrated in some very, very prominent ways, for example, by Google. And the way it works is that as a creator of a song or a written document or even an image, you can allow others to reuse it. And then this uh, pre negotiated agreement for something that is more liberal than the traditional restrictive copyright, where no one would contact you for some random photo that you publish online, um, is actually the basis for a lot of value that your work can gain. And in order for that value to be unlocked, the work can be wrapped in this machine readable agreement. So here, for example, I chose one version, and there are many versions that anyone could pick. And this is the human readable version of the agreement. And then somewhere here on this web page, there is actually uh, two additional versions. This is the legal version, right? And you can, as you said also, Mate, in your case, pick the particular jurisdiction where you want this legal agreement to be enforceable. And then there is also a machine readable version. So the magic that happens with the machine readable version is that you can go and search for images of clouds. Sorry, clouds. And then when you go to tools, usage rights, Creative Commons licenses, you actually find images that you are allowed to reuse legally. And the reason why Google is able to give you this option is exactly because the machines can talk to each other. So the concept that you described with smart contracts that are applicable in a given jurisdiction, and they are layered with human readable versions aiming to achieve the same goal, are very powerful, very important, and really are the base layer of the ability to create value, where before things were very cumbersome and very difficult. So you mentioned that the first market where you will be launching is Latin America. Um, I assume it is because of the familiarity that your group has with the market, in particular where, because Latin America is big.
So our team is in Argentina and in Chile, but we chose Latin America because the adoption rate is quite good. They trust digital currencies and cryptocurrencies, so it's not going to be an issue there to push the smart contracts and all these things. Let's say they are not this is not going to be the first time for a landlord, for example, to open MetaMask, or at least a lot of landlords are already familiar. There are very interesting markets in Latin America. For example, Buenos Aires and also Santiago de Chile. Uh, these are like two cities where we've been talking to rental agencies, realtors, also unique landlords, and it's just we see that it's not just about solving a few problems with the rental experience, but uh, it's also the landlords want to accept rent in crypto, or also the tenants are keeping their funds in crypto and they want to pay in crypto. So for me, like, crypto payments is not such a like a groundbreaking solution, but when we are in such a use case, we just realize that it's also an added value, and it's a very interesting thing.
Uh, so um, when you say crypto, there can be three, four different things, right? It could be in a stable coin, USDT, USDC. It could be in your own native token, RNB, if I'm not mistaken. Or it could be in something else, BTC, ETH, or some other altcoin. Um, are all these options going to be available? Do you accept? Do you expect one of them to be the dominant mechanism?
So for the beta launch, we are focusing on one stable coin, uh, which I support USDC, but we are also always fighting a lot in the team. But more importantly, in the long term, we are focusing on a crypto to crypto transfer solution. So the tenant can decide how to pay, and the landlord can tell us, I prefer receiving a stablecoin. I prefer receive my rent in ETH. I prefer anything which is on Uniswap, or which is currently it's pretty expensive. The technology is not there, But for example, with major coins, we already have a very promising technology which can do transactions and exchange seamlessly. But still, I don't like the fees involved.
So yes, you went in a direction that I was about to ask, because you mentioned your familiarity with Ethereum, and everyone who is familiar with Ethereum realizes that there is a trade-off, uh, given how popular it is. Currently, the Ethereum blockchain is constantly overwhelmed with transactions, which very naturally and necessarily bring to high amounts of to a high transaction cost. And there are certain things where you can wait a little bit and find out in what period of the day or the week maybe you can find the lower gas price that you would accept for a transaction to be worth doing. But other transactions are time sensitive and you cannot wait. So, what is your thinking around this? Do you expect that the proof of stake approach that Ethereum is going to adopt is going to radically reduce gas prices, or is your team considering the blasphemous move towards Matic or some other EVM compatible chain? What are you planning to do?
So first of all, I support Ethereum next version. So I'm waiting for the proof of stake, but I'm afraid we can't wait for it. We have to proactively do something. So we are always, looking for options. Uh, the problem with bridges and the problem with layer two solutions is that anyway you have a deposit transaction when you switch from one layer to another, or when you send to another blockchain. So I don't have a moral problem or dilemma with going to the Binance Smart Chain. But still, when we send our tokens, for example, RNB, which is the fuel of the platform, you pay the service fees in RNB. When you send your RNB from the ERC20 network to the Binance Smart Chain, it still has a deposit fee, let's say, call it as a deposit fee. It's also a gas fee. If you want to deposit to Arbitrum or to Optimism, to layer two, it has a huge deposit fee. So I'm talking about like $100 or more, and this is what concerns us the most. But we have a prototype to move either to another blockchain with a bridge, or either to layer two. I personally also prefer the Solana wormhole. It's an amazing technology. Also, the guys in the development team are like fans of it. But currently, it's either Binance Smart Chain or a layer two on the Ethereum network.
Um, the screen that I was showing is your beta version, and I am not clicking around it too much. I wouldn't want to break it. Uh, is there anything that you would like to highlight? It looks, let's say, similar to, let's say, Airbnb. What is something that you feel is unique that we could show? Well, first of all, Connect Wallet here, right? It is powered by MetaMask or any other kind of Ethereum wallet currently. Anything else?
So yeah, the Connect wallet, it actually connects to the deposit smart contract, and also they can pay the fees in I mean the rent uh, with the contract. So it's it's something that most companies are doing an ICO, an IDO, or something, and then they're not really using their token for anything, which I don't understand why. We wanted to get into this as quick as possible. We launched in May. I mean the token, and then we already have our MVP. Now we will open like a real market in Latin America. So we are progressing fast, and not just this, not just the crypto part, but also property technologies is an upcoming trend. Currently, most of the listing sites all over the world are pretty similar. They are focusing on one city or one country or one market. They are listing their properties for sale, properties for long-term rent, or there is the accommodation industry. So it's a shorter-term rental, but they are like listing sites, and you click connect the landlord or connect the seller, and then you start calling, and then that's it. It's like the 90s. It's like we have much better technologies here, and we say that let's power the whole rental experience, from searching a property to move in, to pay the rents, to move out, to give a recommendation to the landlord. Let's do everything together, and that's going to be a much better rental experience. Many industries already did it.
So from A to Z, everything addressed in a coherent and consistent manner, in a single approach and a single app. Um, Talking about app, I assume on your roadmap there is also a phone, a mobile app, either web app or native, right?
Yeah, it's a native mobile app.
Okay, wonderful. Now, one thing that I noticed on your homepage, and I smiled, is uh, Metaverse that evidently you didn't resist. And you said, wow, this is too big an opportunity. We cannot ignore it. Um, Convince me that it is not a dangerous distraction where you are investing a lot of efforts and energies because everyone is talking about it, but it is misaligned with respect to what you actually want to achieve.
So, we are, let's say, a small team, like 8, 10 people, and we are developing a product. And then we have to spend a lot on marketing and business development to build even 1, 2 cities. And then this huge opportunity comes that we can use our amazing technology with something which is already like let's say one niche. Globally it's completely virtual. You don't have to go and handshake with landlords. Don't have to do all the hard biz dev. I'm talking about like meeting 4, 6 agencies a day. And this is like business wise, this is the opportunity. Technically it's even more interesting that currently what do metaverse property owners do? They are buying and selling properties. And we say that, hey, we have a smart contract. We can easily adopt the metaverse use case, and you can, for example, rent your metaverse property for events or for a longer term, and you don't have to sell to realize profit. And we can, you know, do this um, like in parallel in many metaverse universes. And it's just too big of an opportunity, as you mentioned. but it's not just writing metaverse on the website and NFTs.
Okay. So you convinced me that you are taking it seriously. Now convince me that you should not close down your physical world activities and concentrate 100% here.
Um, I am a conservative Central Eastern European guy, so first I should, your perspective I understand, but really, like, we are professionals in prop tech. We know prop tech. We have the connections in and the network in prop tech. So you see my point.
Absolutely. A fun story from the dawn of the internet is Flickr, which was created by a team that was designing tabletop games, and they were very unsuccessful. They were running out of money, and the opportunity of illustrating the game, and I don't know the details, or I don't remember the details, is what led to the creation of a site where people could easily upload and share photos online. And they absolutely did not expect, but it became what made them successful, and they embraced it. And then they had, at the time, a pretty big exit, selling Flickr to Yahoo. Um, and the reason I'm telling the story is because you really have to go in the direction where the market is going, and it will be very interesting to observe the evolution of these two parallel branches of Rentible. On one hand, from Latin America to Budapest, and who knows which other markets, city after city, being brought online, and working with agencies and property owners and finding arbitrators, etc. And on the other side, the enthusiasm uh, around the opportunity of applying the same set of smart contracts, applying the same set of features, like renting a digital property that you already developed. So it is certainly going to be fun to see how you are balancing the two areas together. So, Mate, is there anything that you would like to share with the people following us before we end our conversation today?
Thanks for having me. I could talk about prop tech, Rentible, Metaverse for long, but then my wife would be very angry. So, thank you very much, and really looking forward to talk to you later when we are more mature with the journey.
Of course, it will be a pleasure having you back, and to see what the development has been over the course of the next 6 months or a year, as both your platform as well as your token achieve greater and greater degree of success. Mate, thank you very much for being here today with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for being here at what is new in the world of blockchain. I hope you found this episode interesting. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on the various accounts of Beyond the Enterprises, and I am looking forward to welcoming you back in the next episode of our series to again together look at what is new in the world of blockchain.